Today we're gonna make my favorite recipe that I've ever created of all time. It's vegan macaroni and cheese. So typically I stay away from any kind of vegan cheese because it's usually full of soy and processed ingredients, but this is actually a whole food based vegan cheese sauce that I've been working on for a few years, and I'm so excited to share it with you guys today. So let me roadmap this for you because we have a few things going on at once and it will all come together at the end. The base of this macaroni and cheese for the cheese is actually cashew cream. So I'm going to teach you how to make cashew cream. Then we're going to add some roasted cauliflower, and you can't even taste the cauliflower, but it adds a lot of good nutrition and fiber and stretches out our sauce. We're also going to add some sauteed garlic and shallots and some nutritional yeast as well, and I'll explain that when we get to it. So let's get our cauliflower ready. So cauliflower, even though it's a white vegetable, is full of fiber and vitamin C and all kinds of good stuff. I have 1 head of cauliflower here that I've chopped up, and that's about a pound of cauliflower. And we're going to puree this, so don't worry about what it looks like or how pretty it looks. You do want the pieces in about the same size so they roast at the same time. So I'll do about 2 tablespoons of olive oil on the cauliflower, and then a really healthy pinch of sea salt, just to season it as we're making food. We want to season every step so that it all comes together at the end. So just toss this together with your hands, mix it all up with the olive oil, and spread it out, and then into the oven 400 degrees for about 30 to 40 minutes until it's nice and roasted. Now we need to go to our cashews for our cashew cream. So I have 1 cup of raw cashews here that have been soaking in hot water for about 15 minutes. You could also do this in room temperature water on your counter overnight or in the refrigerator. But since we're cooking this whole thing anyways, I just wanted to speed it up with some hot water. So they've been soaking for 15 minutes, and now I'm gonna strain them and then rinse them off just so they're nice and clean. And then we'll put them in the blender and I'll show you how to make cashew cream. So I'm gonna let my cashews sit here for a minute while I get my shallots and garlic ready. So we need to flavor the sauce a little bit. So we don't need a lot, just about 2 cloves of garlic and about 1 shallot that we'll saute up and mix into our cheese sauce. So this macaroni and cheese is more of like an Alfredo sauce cheese instead of like a cheddar cheese, but it's absolutely delicious and I use it in so many different things. You guys are gonna love this. So I have 2 cloves of garlic here that I'm gonna smash, whoops, and remove the skins. And garlic is so good for you, especially raw garlic. There are actually some nutritionists who say that raw garlic and raw chocolate are the 2 most nutritious foods on earth. And garlic actually has a compound in it that when you chop it, and when it's exposed to air, it actually becomes better for you. So we're going to chop this and actually let it sit for a minute before I saute it. I'll just let this sit for a minute and get even better for us while I do our shallot. All right, so I have my garlic and shallot ready, and again, we're gonna puree all of this so you don't have to worry too much about what it looks like, but we'll saute this in some olive oil for about 5 to 10 minutes until it gets really soft. All right, quick tip guys, if you're new to the kitchen, never scrape your knife on a wood cutting board. You're gonna dull your blade. Flip it over if you need to use your knife to push something into the saute pan. So let's get our garlic and shallots in. Yikes. Pinch of salt. And we'll let this go for about 5 to 10 minutes until they're nice and soft. I have 2 cups of whole grain noodles here, and you can use any noodles that you want. I like using a whole grain noodle because they have more protein and fiber. I've got about 2 cups here that we're gonna cook, and then we'll put together our cheese sauce. I'm also gonna add a couple of tablespoons of salt to our water. It's really important to salt your noodles while they're cooking so they have some flavor. So my shallots and garlic are ready, and actually everything's ready. This is going to come together really easily. So we'll start by making a basic cashew cream. And like I said before, cashew cream is absolutely fantastic to have in dairy-free cooking. And we'll put our 1 cup of soaked cashews into the blender. And you really need a high-speed blender for this to get that really smooth texture. So when you're making cashew cream, you also need to work with the ratio of cashews to water. I usually do a cup of soaked cashews, and I start with about 3/4 of a cup of water until we get it the right consistency. So I'll show you guys that as I'm making it. When you're using a high-speed blender like this, you want to make sure the speed is on variable, not on high to start with, and all the way down at 1. We'll turn it on and really slowly go from 1 all the way up to 10, and then turn it on to high until it processes the cashew cream into a really creamy mixture. You want to let that go a good 1 to 2 minutes until it gets really, really soft. So let me show you guys this. And again, this is the base for so much dairy-free cooking. And see how that's just like really thick cream? So this is the base for what we're going to use. So now into our cashew cream, we're going to do a really heavy pinch of salt, again to flavor it. And we're going to put in 2 tablespoons of nutritional yeast. So nutritional yeast is actually an inactive yeast. So we don't want to ever use brewer's yeast or an active form of yeast. Nutritional yeast is used a lot in dairy-free cooking as well because it has like a really nutty, cheesy flavor. It's going to give it color, but also kind of a cheesy texture. It also is full of B vitamins and has a lot of fiber in it as well. So 2 tablespoons of nutritional yeast. All right, so now it's time to add the cauliflower. And I'm actually going to move this to make it a little bit easier. We have our roasted cauliflower. And again, you can't even taste the cauliflower in this. It just gives it really nice texture and stretches it out. And we'll clean that up. So next into the blender, we have our sauteed shallots and garlic. Smells so good. Yum. All in there. So here we go. Our vegan cheese sauce is coming together. And to be honest, I don't even like to call this vegan because I think sometimes people don't want to eat it because I call it vegan. So let's just call it our cheese sauce. And this is where you have to work with it a little bit. You might need to add a little bit more water to get it to go, but you want it to be thick. So if you do add water, just add a little bit at a time. I'm also going to add a pinch of black pepper, maybe 2 pinches, because I like the flavor. So you'll be able to see the pepper in it. So if you don't want to see the pepper in it, don't add it, but I like the flavor of it. So lid on, and I'm actually going to grab my tamper. So your high-speed blender will come with a tamper that allows you to push the food down and it won't hit the blade. So be really careful. Never stick something in your blender that it could actually hit the blade. This actually came with the blender, so that doesn't happen. So I'm going to take the lid off of it, or the top off. And here we go, all the way down, and we'll start. You'll probably have to do this a couple of times until you get the right amount of water in it. So let me add a little bit more water. And tamper in. Always make sure to put your blender back down to 1. All right, so let's take a look at this. And it's a little messy, but that's okay. We're gonna make a little bit of a mess. So this is what we're going for. It actually is really creamy and it kind of sits on the spoon. And it smells so good. So let's get our noodles into the bowl. And then our cheese sauce. And this actually will probably make more than you need. This makes about 5 or 6 cups and you need about 4. So see how much you need in there. This actually freezes beautifully. So I actually put mine in an airtight glass container in the freezer and it will keep in there for up to 3 months. So let's just mix all of this together. Tastes like macaroni and cheese and it looks like macaroni and cheese. It's so good. It's really thick. It looks like macaroni and cheese. It tastes like macaroni and cheese. Your kids will never know the difference, and actually your friends won't either. So I've served this to so many people and they love it. So you can eat it just like this, and I do that all the time. But today for you guys, I'm going to make it a little extra special, and I'm going to put it in some ramekins that I sprayed with some grapeseed oil just so it comes out really easily, and do a little panko breadcrumbs on top. Pop it under the broiler and let it get nice and brown on top, and it will be a delicious dinner. So let's spoon our macaroni and cheese into these. So good. People are going to be so impressed with this, they'll love it. So whenever you bake something in a ramekin, I like to actually put it on top of a baking sheet too, just in case some of it comes over the edge. It'll keep your oven clean. So just fill these to the top, and whatever's left over in the bowl is your snack, or just put it in the refrigerator. This will keep for about 3 or 4 days in the refrigerator too. Okay, and just to make this extra special, I'm going to put panko breadcrumbs on top and a little bit of olive oil, and it will get really brown and delicious. So this is kind of an extra special step. I don't do this all the time. And if you wanted this to be totally gluten-free, you could actually use ground flaxseed here. It doesn't have the exact same consistency as panko breadcrumbs, but it's a great step that you can use. And just a little bit of olive oil so it gets nice and brown. So pop this under the broiler for about 3 or 4 minutes. Watch it closely so it doesn't burn, and it will get nice and brown on top. It's already hot because I just took it out of the oven. If you wanted to put this in your refrigerator and let it sit overnight, just cover it with plastic wrap, and then you can bake it at 350 for about 20 minutes to bring it back up to temperature, and then broil it so that the top gets nice and brown. So here it is, you guys. It looks so good. I can't wait to eat some of this. This is hot, so be really careful. All right, moment of truth. Let's see how it tastes. So good. It tastes just like macaroni and cheese. Nobody will ever know that there's not real cheese in this. If you want to print this recipe, head on over to my blog at elizabethrider.com and search for macaroni and cheese. I'll see you guys next time.